First item that I have is talking about, it was brought up by Representative Cordelli, and when we purchased the, and I apologize, I'm taking notes for the meeting as we go. When we had approved the wood processor to be purchased, we said that the final recommendation came down to the only wood to be used to process was going to be wood off our property. And apparently that was just overlooked at the time. And the commissioners at a meeting several weeks ago had made a recommendation to use surplus money from the farm budget from last year. Could you just help me out? What was the amount of that for purchase for wood for this year? Was it 16,000?
I think there were two options. One was we have the loggers come back in and cut more wood because they were short in getting enough firewood that we wanted.
Okay.
Or the other option was to purchase more firewood to make up the difference. I don't remember what the figure was, but I think the option we're gonna take is to get the logger to come back and cut some more.
Okay. So
And that was because we didn't come up short, Mr. Chairman. Some of the wood turned out to be good saw logs.
That's
So we
right.
shipped them as saw logs and got income from that rather than, which
Firewood.
made the firewood cordage short. And so she's already been here to mark a new cut to bring us up to what we need. So
Okay.
Mr. Cadelli was correct, but as it worked out, we came up short in our predictions.
okay, so the monies that you approved a month or so ago out of surplus monies for wood purchases from 2013. So you're going to roll that back and not purchase wood from
I think that's
that?
gonna happen.
As far as I know, they're getting ready to cut.
So, yeah, we'll roll it back.
Okay, thank you. So there should be, so it might not reflect in today's, but that'll show us, I think it was in the neighborhood of $8,000 to $15,000 in wood.
No,
Was it less than
That's
that,
a little
David?
we were short 75 cords and a little less than 8,000. We're paying less
Okay.
than $100 a cord.
Okay, so it should be somewhere around that 8,000. Okay. That sounds about like the right number. Okay. All right. I had asked a bunch of questions of the commissioners to work with Will, and I received some of those items back. So we'll just run through those. You had forwarded information to me on gallons used in your last report, on billings and so forth, so I have a better understanding of how it is you're pricing water. And you look at that process every year and make adjustments? Is that what I'm to surmise from that?
No, we haven't made any adjustments in it. It's $100 per quarter, per person on the water down in the village, plus the water usage.
And how many years would you say since we reviewed that?
Well, I was sitting over there as a member of the public, David, the last time you did it, so I was in the house at the time. It's gotta be 2 years. Has it been
Oh,
this year? And it
It's
hasn't
gotta
been
be
last
longer
year?
than that.
2 or 3 years anyway.
Yeah, I bet it's
3 or 4
4,
years.
I bet it's 4 or 5 years.
And Representative Umberger, through the administration, had found that the administration department, building, whatever, was being charged the taxes that were relevant to that water system. Am
Each of our buildings have a different, for example, down in the village, each household is charged $100 a quarter.
He's talking about the property.
I'm talking about the property tax.
Taxes on
Oh.
not the gallons.
Oh,
I believe that was correct.
Okay, so you will look at that, or I imagine there's gonna be a recommendation that tax should be assessed against the water system,
yes.
and so.
I think that has been changed in our budget. That will be given to the delegation at 12 o'clock.
Okay,
Yeah, part of it was charged to the water department.
Part to the sewer.
Part to the nursing home. The three areas. Water system farm budget in the Mountain View. Water system was charged $5,700. The farm budget was charged $500, and the nursing home was $800.
so it would appear if the recommendation comes through that you'll have to adjust rates to, and it's not a large amount of money, but it would seem like you're gonna have to divvy that up to the,
I think,
users.
talking with Kathy this morning, she's already done that. She's taken it out of the commissioner's budget, the taxes,
yeah,
to the town of Ossipee, and split it up amongst the other three areas.
okay. Which should result in there should be an increase in the water rate. Minor, but there should be.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So just kind of curious about how it was split up. Is it split up based on,
It
size
was
of
split up based on the taxes that the town of Ossipee charged us.
Okay, got it.
Yep. That was, the water department was because of the storage facility and the building that's up on the mountain.
Yes. Further on that?
No, thank you.
Okay. It's just something that was discovered when they were going through, and it's a fee, and it should be going against them. So. All right, I had asked, and I don't have a response to it, and so perhaps the commissioners can tell me that how you rank the department responsibilities. You have a department that's maintenance, farm, water, sewer. Where do the commissioners see the number one responsibility, two, and so forth?
Well, we did that, and I don't remember what it was, but I think the major responsibility is in maintenance. It's difficult to assign certain percentages to those departments. If the water system breaks down, that has a priority, get it fixed. If the sewer system breaks down, a pump goes, that has a priority to get fixed. So what suffers would be maintenance, maybe mowing the lawn, or maybe something else coming out of maintenance or out of the farm. The sewer and the water affect the whole facility, so that's gotta have a priority. But it's difficult to assign it, not knowing what breaks down.
Why is that an issue, Mr. Chairman, since we've removed maintenance from the farm responsibilities and the water and the sewer have their own department?
Well, I think you're gonna see that we're gonna shift even more by the time we're done with this. But my question is, you've got a multi-function department.
Yep.
Yep.
And lots of times we refer to it, or it's referred to as the farm. If I look at your labor breakdown that you gave me, which I think might be what you're referring to, clearly maintenance functions with the exception, you know, if I look at your top person, maintenance functions are your number one priority, it would appear to me. If water or sewer were to break down, it looks like your second person, Wayne, those are his major responsibilities. But, you know, where we're devoting time and monies and income, I think should be a reflection, in labor, should be a reflection of where you see the department. And it would almost seem to me that from what you provided, it would seem to me that maintenance should be the number one priority, at least on paper. And water and sewer may be the number two, and farm falls as a third position.
May I?
Yes.
I'm not sure that we can use that kind of analysis under these circumstances, because there are times when priorities don't equal amount of time spent. So in other words, you may have one task or responsibility that is a high priority because, for example, life safety depends on it. So that is your priority. But that doesn't mean that you spend more of your time on it. That just means that you, when something comes up in that priority area, you attend to it above and instead of anything else of a lower priority. But there isn't an exact correlation between priority and the amount of time spent, or even the amount of time projected, since a lot of things come up that we can't anticipate. And also, I think that, well, it's really a good exercise to look at how much of the time each person spends by percentage, just to be self-aware. I think that we as a county are probably getting a lot more efficiency from having something that's a little more fluid than something that's rigidly defined.
Thank you.
Okay.
If the water system breaks down or the sewer system breaks down, all hands are going to go to that. That's not the point. I had asked to go through the exercise, and we still don't have the exercise done. And to say that one's more important than the other, I think if you look at your priorities here, you're going to see that maintenance should be controlling your number one position of time and labor.
I'm
When
not
I add
sure.
up all of these things, I can appreciate that we don't have the same view on that.
Okay.
But we have a $23 million budget, or $24 million budget. We own several buildings, and common sense would say that maintenance should be our number one concern over that.
Well, I just would comment that that is your common sense, but that might not be everyone's common sense. And
Well,
I'd also-
apparently it isn't.
I'd also like to address your comment that we're going to see more shifting. What is the plan, and when did the plan come to do that, and who made that plan?
I don't think anybody's made that plan. I think I see what's coming. As apparently, you know, you might have some direction that you might think we're heading. But there is no written plan. I don't even have a plan from the commissioners at this point in time. So, if we can.
I did hear you say, Mr. Chairman, that you thought there'd be more shifting coming.
Well, I think there will be by the time
In
we're
what-
done
in
with,
what
we're
way?
done with budgets.
What way?
I'm not prepared at this time. I haven't even gotten through my questions at this point in time.
Okay.
It doesn't really change the bottom line
Well,
as to where the priorities are. It's all,
I would agree with you, Commissioner, but I think it's also a philosophy that needs to be going through. You know, the commissioners apparently, when we speak of the budget, speak of it as the farm budget.
no longer we do.
Okay. Well, that's
The farm's
encouraging.
a separate budget, maintenance is separate, water and sewer, you see it in your own budget, they're all separate items.
Okay. if we go to the listing on, do you have a copy of the information that was sent to me?
I don't.
I don't either, I gave you my copy.
Thank you.
If you go to, farm vehicles, it'd be like the last, 3
Almost the
pages
back.
back.
Yep.
First item is the 2005 GMC C6500. And that's the, if I was to walk over to the building, I assume it's in the same bay, far left bay. That's the truck that's used for, deliveries.
Correct.
Okay, that has a dump body on it.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's used for delivering hay and wood. And,
It's also used for delivering, don't be confused, it's used for wood to, when we sell it out to
yeah,
a homeowner. It's also used when we move it from the processor into the barn to be put into
okay.
campfire wood.
And let's see, 2005. So we purchased that new, 2008. And the majority of the time, it sits, doesn't it? Other than processing wood? I guess my question is, why don't we use the vehicle more?
It's a big vehicle. It will use up a lot of fuel if we use it for other minor operations other than, I think you're getting to the point where we put in there for a used dump truck to do stuff around the campus. It would be a lot less expensive to use a dump truck than to use that big truck.
Less expensive if you were to look at the, $11,000 or $15,000 purchase that you're talking about buying a new vehicle?
That's
A
a
used
second,
vehicle?
a used vehicle,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'd have to spend a lot of gas to even come close to that equation, wouldn't you?
Well, it's a big truck to haul around just locally.
Okay. If I
have a
go,
question.
yes,
Okay, does some of that figuring include the fact that putting wear and tear on a big expensive vehicle is more costly than putting wear and tear on an old junker?
Yes.
My personal opinion, yes.
Okay, thank you.
before we leave that vehicle, do you have any idea on the number of deliveries of wood? And I'm assuming that, I know it's sporadic, but the bulk of that use is what, the fall? Into the end of fall?
Fall and during the summer,
Hay.
Mr. Chairman, when we deliver hay.
Yeah. So how much of a inconvenience is it that that's a vehicle that you're using when you're processing wood, and we process wood over the entire year? How much of a burden is it on your delivery schedule that you couldn't work around your deliveries on the days that you're processing wood?
I don't know clarify that a little bit?
When we were speaking earlier about the need for the yard truck, and one of the
Yep.
needs for the yard truck was it needed to be a dump body. And one of the overriding needs for the dump body was that when you were processing wood and this truck wasn't available, that you would be able to put the wood in it, move it to a spot, dump it, and then stack it.
Right, while the other truck is hauling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my question is, how difficult is it, if we take that out of the equation, that you perhaps spent a little more time scheduling your deliveries so that it wasn't happening on days that you were doing wood processing?
I guess it reduces the efficiency of the operation. Otherwise, the guy could be hauling wood up to State Park somewhere while the other guys are processing wood. And that dump truck would be used also for cleanup in the spring.
Okay, I understand the other uses for it. I'm
Okay.
talking about how difficult is it for you to schedule the sporadic deliveries. I don't have an idea of how many deliveries it is, but I can't believe that you're hauling, 5 days a week for 2 weeks or something
That's true.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're selling Willie short if we sit here and don't think that he's considering what's most economical here and what's most efficient.
I would disagree. I'm not selling him.
I'm sure he's doing the scheduling. I don't believe it's the commissioner's responsibility to go out there and sit there all day and find out what the deliveries are. That's left up to the man that we're paying to do the job.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's not my point. My point is that if we're processing wood, and wood processed for firewood makes us a great amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he's looking at where his time's spent. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't have to expend money for another vehicle, might not have to expend another vehicle, with one of the reasons being for wood processing, to haul wood from point A to point B, when we already have a vehicle that can do it. I'm looking at a man that's in charge of 5 different functions on top of everything else he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, something has to rub against the other. So I'm just saying, if the commissioners were to think in terms of what's the best scheduling use of those so that it wasn't conflict, it might be of advantage. I'm making no comment whatsoever about.
I think
About the
I think
person.
you bring up a good point. However, we've got the other trucks out there are falling apart. I mean, we have to have a vehicle to haul the inmates around from one place to another. The white truck the frame is
I'm going
completely rotted out, so we're down to one truck.
I'm going there next, under your maintenance vehicles. The 2010 350 with plow that we bought in 2009, I'm assuming that has a dump body on it? Does it have a dump body on it?
No.
And then
Do
we
you see that
have,
on this list, Mr.
Where is
Chairman?
that?
I don't see it
let's
on
go
there.
to your next page, maintenance vehicles,
Oh, okay.
stay on vehicles.
No, it does not
It
have a
does
dump
not
body.
have one.
Okay,
It's a pickup.
it's pickup, yeah, but that's a 350 is a 1 ton, 350
Yep.
3/4, or is it a 1 ton?
1 ton.
It's 1 ton. And then we have the GMC 2500 HD that we use for sanding, plowing, whatever. And we have no dump body on that either.
No.
No.
Now, is that also the same vehicle that's used for going into town for the water system and anything like that?
That's correct.
The 2012, the 2010 with the 1 ton pretty much stays on property except when it's needed?
Right.
Okay.
I would say no. The 2012 has a big sander in it, and they keep that off to the side most of the time. They use the other truck, the 350, just to get downtown, transport the inmates.
And one of those trucks is used for the water department because they have to take samples up to North Conway to be analyzed. Plus reading the meters down in the village on a quarterly basis.
May I ask you a question on that? I guess it's underwater, but why do you use a North Conway facility for your lab as opposed to using the state lab?
Because they have to have the water transported on the day that the sample is taken. So when it's taken, they take it right up there. Otherwise, they gotta drive all the way to Concord.
There are companies that'll pick up your sample as they come by when they're heading down. I don't know if you're aware of that, so
I'm not aware of
you
that.
might pass that along.
They may be,
I
I'm not
know,
aware
I know
of it.
private, it's sending water samples 30 miles north to go south. And,
What do you mean to go north, to go south? They're testing them up there in Conway, we're told.
oh, they're using the lab up there?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But I think you bring up a good suggestion. It is rather expensive.
Yeah.
And we do it, I believe, once a week or once every 2 weeks.
I don't know on the waste side of things, but on the water side of things, you're probably at worst doing quarterly water samples and yearly compliance and
On what, Mark? The sewer?
on the water.
on the
I
water
can't
itself?
speak to your sewer side because I don't know
Okay.
about sewer side. So anyways, we've got a 3/4 ton, we've got a 1 ton. And so we transport people around the facility, whether it be prisoners. We also use the vehicles for spring cleanup and so forth. And I would think it would behoove the commissioners to speak with the superintendent and look at putting a dump body possibly on one or both of those vehicles, and a lot of your need for dump, I think, would go away. Your sander, I'm sure, is hung up in your building or hanging in the pole barn or something, so you don't get as much in there, but for the cleanup and so forth that the guys are doing, that might be an answer for you guys to look at. And somewhere in here was it back under farm vehicles that you talked about your vehicle dump body that's rusted through? I think it is. You've got if we go back to farm vehicles, you show a 1995 1 ton. And your 1980 has a dump body, and it was one of those, or both of those vehicles that you were looking to replace with your new used purchase of a vehicle? Is
Yes.
that what that was?
That's correct.
Okay. May I ask how we went from a discussion of $5,000 to $8,000 for a yard truck that would never leave the yard? And I believe your proposal in the,
I think it's 12.
is it 12,000 now? It was, when I left one meeting, it was at the $5,000-6,000 range. Will had thought that he could find something, and then the commissioners came back with a recommendation at $12,000. Can you help me out with that?
That's correct, and I think we'd be lucky if we got a used dump truck for 12,000. I got one that was 10 years old and paid 18.
I think we raised the figure to, I know we did, to 20,000, be just on your statement that we couldn't get a half-decent truck for.
That's my
I think
understanding,
we left it
Commissioner.
at 12.
I don't think so.
I think we started in the 8,000 to 12,000 range, and I think your recommendation's at $20,000.
And so that was based on doing the research, and that change was based on doing the research, not on whim.
Right.
I'm happy to hear why you think $20,000, because my research, which was the same that Will had used in doing Craigslist search,
Yeah,
had brought me in that $8,000 to $12,000
Really?
range. 3, 4, 5 trucks that are all in the area, that all have stickers on them, that are all working, so.
if we can get one for that, we'll get it. I
Okay,
don't think we want to get a vehicle that is going to require a lot of maintenance. you get somebody else's problems.
Well, I understand that, but I guess my question is, how many vehicles do you need to start with? And if, maybe that our vehicles could be used for, for more than one use, and that perhaps you should look at if the dump is really the overriding reason for a vehicle, then adding a dump onto or retrofitting something we already have. Because if all we need is to move people around the property, other than a dump, just to move people around the property, then we don't even need a 1-ton vehicle.
That's right.
Might even suggest that prisoners have sneakers and work boots, and that could work.
I think what we're doing is we're replacing 2 trucks with that yard truck. The 2 trucks that we presently have are rusted out and they're basically useless. The dump body doesn't work on the
Green one.
on the green one, which is the 1980 GMC. That's rusted out. And the white truck, apparently the frame is rusted out on it. So those 2 would be junked, and the 1-ton would replace those 2.
And so what would you use that vehicle for?
For spring cleanup, for other things that are going on. In case of wood processing, it could be used there because it has a dump body on it. I think we're looking at efficiency. And I think once we're getting rid of 2 trucks that are costly maintenance-wise, replacing those 2 with 1 truck. I think that's a wise movement.
Okay, thank you. Okay. You listed out activities, or will listed out activities for maintenance and for farm. That's fine, I appreciate that. We've talked about the labor that was on there. The mileage charges for delivery of hay and for wood, has that been adjusted over a number of years, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was-
It never was charged. It is now being charged.
Okay. So once this was put into place, the 75 cents for a bale of hay for a certain distance and wood delivery, when was this practice put into policy then?
What page are you on?
I think it's back about 4, David, from the front.
What the maintenance department does for the county
No,
complex?
mileage.
No,
charge.
mileage charges.
Right there.
Mileage charge, okay.
That was put in within the last 4 years, I think.
My recollection is, Mr. Chairman, that you folks, when Will came here, it was 50 cents per mile, which it is now, and then you raised an additional 25 for deliveries within the 25 mile to cover it. So those 2, that's a new fee probably in the last 2 years, 3 years.
On the wood delivery, Commissioner?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the hay.
No, that's fine. You're on the hay, so you're saying the hay was adjusted 2 years ago?
I would
Best
guess
your
that's what
knowledge.
it was. When Will came here, that's one of the first things he said. It was crazy to be going up to Chatham for
That's true.
nothing.
Okay. On the next page, food from Carroll County Farm to Dietary, 2013. Couple questions here. And I appreciate seeing a list here. I've asked for this for a number of years, and it's very nice to have this. Let me just make a note. Maybe you could help me understand this. I'm assuming in our budget, when I look at expenditures, I see seed, I see fertilizer, I see a labor component in here. when I look at my listing here earlier that shows me what percentage farmhands and so forth are using, it would seem to me that there's an expense that goes to produce. And am I wrong? Is there, I know blueberries, you have a plant, a bush or whatever. But cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, and winter squash, and zucchini, are those items that we grow from seed?
Correct.
And that we would use a certain component of fertilizer to raise those items?
Correct.
And there'd be some labor associated with doing that? May I ask why we are, if we're paying for the seed, we're paying for the fertilizer, we're paying a labor component, why the farm should be then charging as an income to the nursing home to buy those items when we're already producing those and paying for those items?
How,
If we go out to the retail market, if we go to Cisco, we're gonna pay those prices. What is your point?
My point is, we're already paying to grow, raise those items.
right,
So why are we charging and then showing that as an income to the farm and expensing against the nursing home?
we're recouping the money that we're spending. I mean, every farmer spends money on fertilizer for their hayfield. They sell hay to get that money back. I don't know
appreciate
what the
that, but
point
what
is.
my point is this: we're paying for those. We're not a farmer. We're the county. We're paying for those items,
That's correct.
and then we turn around and we charge the nursing home full wholesale value for those items, and then it shows up as an income back to the farm.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Why, where, if you're going to raise this material and you're gonna charge it, where are you gonna put it if you don't put it under an expense and revenue?
I would say to you that it shouldn't be, if we're paying for that and it's going over there, it's an expense. It's not an income for the farm, and my next point would be, why do we sell it to the nursing home? Why aren't we selling it elsewhere? And then it's a pure profit to us.
Some of it is
Well,
being
because
sold.
you're the one that complains that we're competing in private industry if we sell it off the campus.
You're correct. We do sell some to farm stands, blueberries, and some of these left over. Others that's really left over that the nursing home doesn't take goes to a food pantry or dinner bell, whatever you call it. So any of the extra goes there, and there's no charge for that.
So you're not suggesting that when the food is transferred to the nursing home, that doesn't count as a nursing home expense, are you?
In my conversations with the nursing home, are you under the opinion, are the commissioners under the opinion that all the food you're delivering over there is, number one, welcomed, and number two, efficient for them to take in your produce when you deliver it?
That's correct. That's worked out between the dietary supervisor and the farm. And now it's being worked out with the jail as well for inmates.
I think if you were to follow up with the nursing home with dietary, you'll find that your mix of product and your quantities of product and what's going over there at many times is not of benefit to them.
I'd say that
Where it's Cisco, if they were to buy blueberries, tomatoes, and everything else, a lot of those things are coming through ready to work with and ready to go. And part of the problem over there is that not knowing when items are coming and working it into menus and so forth, it may not be as efficient a process as what you think it is.
I tend to disagree with you. I think it is on a scheduled basis. The nursing home knows when the product is coming. And if we're overproducing in zucchinis, then the zucchinis are either sold to a farmer's market or goes to a, what do you call them?
Food pantry.
Food bank, I guess.
And so my question was, I want to make sure I'm understanding what your point is. Are you saying that when the farm brings food to the nursing home, that it should not be considered an expense of the nursing home to purchase that food from the farm?
I'm saying that might be the case.
That's ridiculous. We
Well,
get it.
I understand your position. I understand your position.
Okay.
Well, I just find it difficult to understand how that would be considered good business practice. And I also feel that we're getting into some areas of management that maybe the delegation doesn't have jurisdiction over, or it's not the most appropriate place.
Thank you.
I would like to add, Mr. Chairman, that we've had at least 2 meetings with the food people over here, with the jail and the farm. And yes, everybody will admit right at this point, it's probably not as efficient as having the 18-wheeler back in here and dump cans of food on our dock. But they're working towards a goal. They've got a program going for storing the food. And I think you're perhaps a little premature in looking down the road that it won't work. It seems to be working fine where we've got it working, and we're moving towards improving that. The jail, we've spent a great deal of time with the jail, or the jailers have, working with other facilities and learning how to utilize the food that we have. They're talking about setting up preliminary activities, peeling potatoes, etc., at the jail in the future, so that it will work more efficiently, because as it is now, no, it is not as efficient as the truck, but it's much fresher and better for quality food, and it's local.
If I could make one last comment. Years ago, we used to supply beef to the nursing home. That was not efficient, and we cut that out. It wasn't efficient because the residents at the nursing home couldn't eat steaks. Steaks being a higher cost item. It all had to be ground up in a hamburger so that they could eat it. So that wasn't very efficient.
Wasn't
We were
tougher
losing
to
money
chew?
on it. What?
Wasn't tougher to chew.
I don't know, but that happened back a while ago.
My item of interest is 2 tons of winter squash delivered on 10/15. 2 tons of winter squash. Now, I'll go with Commissioner Babson that I'm sure squash is easier to chew than steak. But $1,300 of your $1,500 estimate for income from the farm is on winter squash. And my understanding was that there was an issue with the winter squash, and that there was an item that you guys are farmers more than me, but blight on that item doesn't seem to be the best thing that you have.
It was the pumpkins,
It was the pumpkin blight, not the winter squash blight?
that's correct.
So-
Winter squash was stored in the old freezers over at the nursing home. The old
That's why you
nursing
don't
home.
see pumpkins on the list, because it was a blight.
Winter squash is a big item for them?
Yes,
Okay.
just for the same reason we were talking, Mark.
What's
It's
that?
easier to eat. Yes, well, I was surprised too. It's a big item for them.
Okay. Thank you. While we're on farm and income, I'll switch over to what are my yellow pages.
Can I
And,
just have one follow-up on that last section?
sure.
Okay, what is it not true that one of the first things that people look for when they go to a nursing home, besides cleanliness maybe, and friendliness of staff, is quality of the food?
quality of the food is important, and I know because of the cost of food, and that's going to be going up, according to the news, was it last night on news, where it's gonna be going up a certain percentage because of the drought in California, is one of the reasons. Quality of the food is. We stressed for quality of food, even coming from commercial operation. And it looks like we may not be able to afford the good quality that we are used to because of the price just going out of control.
Thank you, and food, as we all know, is essential to health and quality of life. Thank you.
Correct.
I just wanted, and I'm sure the representative's well aware of, if we weren't able to provide 2 tons of winter squash to the residents from the farm, that they would have been purchasing 2 tons of winter squash from their purveyors, the same as peppers, cukes, or whatever, and all of those items would be great quality food. And I don't think that our residents are making complete determinations on where they're going to go with their limited resources, on whether it was county farm raised squash.
Okay. That is, as you know, not what I said, that they would make their complete decisions based on that.
Thank you. I apologize. Farm income, and I'm supposed to be chairing a second committee, which is right now, and I don't know if they're meeting here or over there, so.
Jail
Meeting over there.
Over there.
All right, we're gonna have to adjourn. Let's go through one more item, and then we'll go over to there. Farm income, have you adjusted your projections on any of those items, produce, hay, wood?
No, the only thing that would change, and I checked that this morning, because the nursing home is requiring the budget in the nursing home for mowing and snow plowing, it's got to show up as a revenue, but I put it under farm. Apparently, the chairman of the delegation thinks it ought to go under maintenance.
Correct.
So I don't know what that adjustment would be.
I believe it is $34,000. I believe I have it on the front page.
You have the front page here, Kathy says 35,000 care of grounds, remove 34. So I assume we're putting 34 into the enterprise fund at
Yes.
the nursing home.
And then that amount would come over as maintenance. Because when I look at your list of duties,
Yep.
that income shouldn't be going to maintenance. It shouldn't be going to farm. It should be going to maintenance.
Maintenance, okay. No
So
problem.
that item will move over.
So that's 34,000 in the maintenance income.
Correct. And you haven't adjusted your other produce, hay or wood, even though Will had mentioned his recommendations were higher numbers. You're staying with your numbers that you've presented.
That's correct.
And
You know, the weather conditions, we don't know what it's gonna be. It's always conservative in the farming business. If we have a good year, we're gonna make money. If we have a poor year, we're gonna lose money. So we're trying to average it out.
is
And Will has a track record of being conservative in his estimates over the years.
Thank you. Hold for 1 second. Is there some way of making a call over to the nursing home? Is that where they're meeting for the jail? And send them over here?
I noticed
Meeting
for
at
the
the
jail
jail.
meeting, it says 11.
You get the hospital, you get 3 in a row here, which, one's the jail and one's the nursing home. You're on all 3 of them, Mr. McCarthy.
meeting at the jail.
Nursing home's going on at 10 o'clock. I'm part of that one also. We'll go where, if it's the nursing home that's going on right now, then I'll stay here and we'll just keep going. Okay, if we look at use of equipment,
Should I go over the nursing home? Is that over there?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's Representative Algren, they're finishing up over there. That's what that meeting is, so we've got the jail afterwards here for, what'd you say, for 11, Representative?
11
Okay.
Here
at the jail.
at the jail, I thought, okay.
The use of equipment under farm income, $11,000.
Right.
Okay, if, the equipment that's being used elsewhere, do you have a sense of what that is?
Yep.
Okay, hold on a second, let me get to maintenance of farm here. Okay, go ahead.
One of the things I know, Mr. Chairman, is when they take the backhoe downtown, if there's a water break, that's considered use of the equipment.
Okay,
I don't know what they do with the water system up on the hill.
I know they use it for snow removal around the jail. I know they shoveled off the jail roof, and because of the buildup of the snow along the sides of the jail, they use the backhoe to remove that.
so if I follow where you're going, and I would think that would be where the equipment is used. And a lot of that use of equipment comes from the maintenance side. The backhoe, I believe, is listed under maintenance for equipment. Do I see a listing of equipment here?
It should be, I think, if it isn't.
Yeah, maintenance vehicles, and I go through, that'd be our plow truck, which we use for sanding. It's our backhoe, our mowers, our snow blower, brooms, rakes, shovels, whatever. I would say that your $11,000 shouldn't be showing up under farm income, it should be showing up under maintenance.
That's correct. I think what we were trying to do at one point in time was to eliminate maintenance. Maintenance really is a cost item, it's not a profit-making item.
Well, okay, so let's go there. The county owns the backhoe.
Correct.
The county owns the trucks, the county owns the rakes, shovels, and so forth.
Right.
Why is it an income? Who purchased the backhoe and purchased all these items, and why are we charging it back?
Because it goes to a different department. And in order to get the correct figure for what it costs to run the jail, we're charging them for the use of the equipment. I mean, in some cases, the delegation is looking at the cost to run the jail. Well, if you're gonna look at the cost to run the jail, then you need to look at the full cost. In other cases, some delegation members want to lump it all together so that you know what the total cost is
Of maintenance.
of maintenance. So I don't know which direction you want to go in.
Well, it would seem that if the equipment is the equipment that you're using is for maintenance,
Yeah,
then if you're gonna charge that to them, and I don't know that's the right policy, it's the same as food, but I don't know that it is. But if you're going to, that income shouldn't be going, in my opinion, shouldn't be going as a farm income, it should be going to a maintenance
You're right.
income.
Yep.
So that'd be rolling that item up to that.
yep. So you want to take 11,000 out of use of equipment under the farm and put it under maintenance?
Correct.
Okay,
And it might be a sub, might be a sub, I don't know how you work those out, but, perhaps a number .059, which is maintenance or use of equipment, might be rolled under as 060 or something. So it shows under there, and you keep the items separated. And maintenance income, one is use of equipment and so forth, so you keep it where you can see it. I'm sure they can figure that out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Under maintenance income, Well, actually, it should come out of there. Do we have maintenance as a separate item as opposed to farm, right?
Yep.
So maintenance income should be reflected over there. And I'm just saying that you've got it right there, use of equipment. That line, that should be switched over to that item. That item should go from farm to maintenance. That's easy, you've already got the,
So you're gonna move maintenance income, $12,000 over to maintenance income?
yeah, I think you're showing, on what I have, you're showing it as $11,000.
Yeah, you showed
And-
11.2, David.
And then we're also under
Under
maintenance income,
No, use of equipment. Right, use of equipment.
Yeah, okay.
and so over in that section over there, you're also moving over the $35,000 care of grounds from
Correct.
from there.
Yep,
So now, instead of being 0 on the maintenance income, we're gonna be looking at $47,000, something like that.
46.
$46,000. And then you'll move the farm, you'll reduce the farm income over there.
again, we're not changing any bottom lines. We're just moving things around where we think it's appropriate to charge it to,
Correct.
okay?
Yep. One of the items that I had asked for, and I don't have a response for, have you gone through and formulated what your business plan is for the farm? What you're doing now, where you're going with it?
The only department on this complex that has put together a plan has been the farm. I don't have it right in front of me.
You know, the delegation's at it 2 or 3 times.
Well, perhaps we could send it again because I'm not aware of it. Do you have it with you, Commissioner?
I don't,
If not, it can be sent along. Let's talk on this briefly again. What is the projection on wood production for the year? Contracts that we have and so forth for state parks?
well, we increased it from, what we budgeted last year was 30,000, we increased it to 40,000. And if you look at the actual in 2013, it was 50,000 that we brought in. As income.
Okay. So you're anticipating, you have more contracts for firewood going forward for this year than last year.
Correct.
And firewood's not going down and your cost of wood is stable, so that should reflect in increase, if you've got the contracts, that should reflect in an increased income projection for this year. That's a safe assumption.
Which is what we did. That's why we put 40,000 in there.
Okay, so
If things go along like they did in 2013, we may have 50,000 as income in the wood category. That was the actual that we received in 2013. But we only budgeted 30,000, so we split the difference and brought it up to 40,000 that we're projecting as income.
You brought in 50,000 in 2013,
Correct.
and you have more contracts than you did that year for 14.
Mhm.
Your wood's not costing you any more money.
Yes, it is. Not much.
The logging.
As you know, it's a commodity price, Mr. Chairman, and sometimes it's $100 a cord, sometimes it's $800 a cord, sometimes it's $750. I believe right currently we're paying around $700. It will go up.
But the wood that we're using for 2014 is our own product, is our own wood.
Cost money to harvest it.
I've known that right along, but I keep being told by the county that it's free wood. But that cost of that wood is is no different than the year previous.
Well, we purchased wood before,
Okay.
And we're gonna be purchasing 75 cords more.
unless the
Unless the
logging,
logging comes down here, I can't see how we can cut it and split it and sell it in the same week. We've got to have at least dry wood.
Well, dry or not dry wood,
seasoned.
yeah, we're not usually too concerned about how dry wood is when we sell it out of here, from my understanding.
I'd like to
even-
correct
even-
that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
I don't think that was a very accurate remark. It insinuates that we sell people wet wood knowing that it's wet. Will tells them every time that it's wet wood, and they say either
They
ship
want
it
it.
or don't ship it. And to say
we
they-
tell them it's wet wood, whether we're selling wet wood is a good practice or not. I'm not
You
saying. don't-
insinuated that, the insinuation was that we don't tell the people, and I'm just saying
Well,
that's incorrect.
I know that, I know different. I'm sorry you're so sensitive, but that's,
No, that's the way it is.
I've
I'm a
heard
sensitive
here
type of guy.
time after time that we tell people we're selling them green wood. Whether we should be selling green wood at all, I don't know that that's even the right policy, but
Some
that's
people
something
will take green wood in the spring of the year.
they're taking green wood in the winter of the year at present. Let's go back to wood, cost of wood. If you have what could your cost be? 10% more for wood this year than last year?
I have no
I'd
idea.
say that's probably fair at the most.
Okay, so.
That's fair.
So, maybe 50,000, if you brought in 50,000 last year and you have contracts for more this year, it would seem to me to be reasonable that you'd be looking at least a $50,000, and then if your increase is above, if your orders are above and beyond that, it certainly should be able to absorb a 10% more cost in.
If we
in
fall
things.
short, who do we blame?
You usually end up with a surplus in the neighborhood of $900,000. I think you'll be fine. If you want to blame someone, you can blame this representative. I don't mind.
I believe that figure's wrong. I believe it's 700,000. We brought in 300,000 extra in revenue, mainly from the nursing home.
You have more than enough money, even if 700,000, even if $500,000, that I think that you might be able to make up on a projection of $10,000. You can choose not to do it, that's your choice. But I'm saying that I think you're being, with what you're showing as a growing industry for you, which is wood, and you already have a projection of more contracts, you just have to fill those contracts.
Right.
That one's pretty easy.
I think the surplus that you're talking about, the
I
700,000.
forget the surplus at this point.
Well, it comes to the
question to
nursing
this
home.
representative was, where are we gonna make up $10,000? My point is, you operate on a surplus every year anyways, and I'm sure that on a bottom line, that if you fall short on that projection, that you'll find someplace that you can find that money.
I don't believe in the years that I've been here, 12 years, that we've ever had a department, with the exception of the county attorney, go over their budget. And regarding the surplus, if it comes from the nursing home, we can't use it, that's an enterprise budget, it stays in the nursing home.
This year, if I'm incorrect, and correct me, the employees for the Registry of Deeds operated without one
That's right.
employee.
Mm-hmm.
And that this department, the year previous, had a surplus in wood that wasn't expended, that you went to grab that money to buy wood from this year. It seems to me that it's current for a number of years, that you end up with a surplus of money at the end of the year out of your departments. Not just the nursing home, whereas the nursing home might be a larger percentage because it has a larger income and so forth, but are you insinuating that your budgets are so tight every year that you run right to the penny?
No, I'm glad that we have a surplus. I'm glad we have a surplus other than going over budget. Now, what happens is the delegation cuts our budget, reduces our budget because we have a surplus. That's because we don't spend it all in the last quarter of the year. Now, if the delegation wants us to spend all the money that's budgeted, that can be done. Because it was put together initially before the 1st of December as to what the needs were of the county. And we try to save the money at the end of the year. As Representative Gardelli said, watch the fourth quarter, because if you have money left over, that's where they'll spend it. We watch that. Now, if the delegation is gonna base their cuts on what was saved last year and reduce it back that amount for 2014, then the ultimate is spend it. I don't believe that, but that's what's happening.
I don't know how we've evolved to that conversation. I'm going back to where we originally said was that I would like you to consider raising your estimate on income of wood from $40,000 to at least $50,000.
Okay, if that's your recommendation, we can do it.
It's my recommendation. I don't know how the,
Well, I don't understand how the commissioners come into it at this point. Anyway, the commissioners have given their budget to the delegation, now it's the delegation's decision. So if you want to propose that
Yeah.
and be responsible for that, then you would be the person to do that.
that's fine.
That's right.
Okay, so a change.
So are you increasing that to 50 or 10%, Mr. Chairman? You spoke of both.
Well, I was trying to come up with where that number might end up, but I believe with your increased orders on wood production, firewood production, your 10% is not going to be an issue. So my recommendation, and open for discussion with my fellow only other member here is that it would be raising the projected income of wood from $40,000 to $50,000. How do you feel about that, Representative?
I would stick with the commissioner's recommendation because I think they have a good idea of what's reasonable and what is safe for the county. And I think that their projection was valid. I don't want to get into the position where we are overly optimistic about what our revenues are going to be and don't anticipate a lot of things that can happen in the natural world and the financial world and come up short.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think increasing the wood is a lot better than increasing the hay. The hay would be more seasonal depending on weather. The wood is there, whether it's weather, if it rains, they'll do it the next day.
Thank you. So your hay is pretty much projected out where it has been in past years anyways. And last year was a bad hay year?
I don't know.
Wasn't bad, wasn't good.
Okay.
It was very slow to start with, and then the second crop was pretty good.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, I think I have just about everything I have out of here. I'd just like to ask the question because I did not get an answer. And that is on livestock, pig production. And my answer from the commissioner was that there's a deal with the farm manager for pigs. If someone could explain that further, or you choose not to explain that further,
Glad to.
please.
We made an arrangement with Will that he could raise his own pigs there in exchange for holding 2 annual seminars on raising pigs, because there's so many people around here that are doing it and want to learn more about it. He's done that. He's maintained the buildings for us. And he's raised his pigs and kept his end of the bargain, and I think we've kept ours.
And he gives two pigs to the nursing home.
Well, he hasn't yet. His spring
Okay.
thought is that he's going to give 2 pigs to the nursing home in the springtime if the nursing home will foot the bill for butchering them.
Okay. Pole barn, how are we making out with the pole barn?
It's on the back burner right now because he's got so much other stuff going. We're in the process of trying to figure out, or he is, and trying to figure out how to anchor the building this time so it doesn't float away. He's been out for quotes for 2 different types of hold-down systems. It's moving along slowly, but it's on the back burner.
And it'll be smaller than the original plan.
The reason for a smaller building?
A, Representative McConkey, and B, the windstorm, that we don't have enough money to make it as long as it did the first time.
Sounds good. And did you lose your trusses?
Some of them, Mark, and that's one of the reasons I believe it's shortening up.
And you've got roofing for it or whatever?
Yes. And we
But
got,
you found that it wasn't as high a priority as what you thought it was before?
no, it's definitely a priority. but
It's a priority, but we had other things that
have to get done.
had to get done.
Okay.
And one thing I would think that would be a priority for this committee, although it's not mentioned, is Will brings in the wood from the processor now, and it comes in and, unlike the former processor, it comes in quarterly chunks. And
I'm sorry, David, you brought up another point. Go back to what you were talking about, please.
And it comes in quarterly chunks, and the inmates now are splitting it down to go in the bags. You can't sell a $3 bag of wood with 4 pieces of wood in it, so they have to split them up to pack them. And they really need, or should have, an automatic wood splitter to really make the stuff fine for the camp wood. And I would think one of those would be available on Craigslist for something, and we have enough inmates out there that know small motors that we ought to be putting some funding in, something, because we're gonna get sued when somebody loses a finger, or that they're out there with a mallet swinging away, and it's not a good situation.
Okay, I understand what you're telling me. What, did we sell off our old wood processor? Where's our old wood processor?
I think we
Sold.
still have it.
No, it's sold.
It did?
Yep.
Okay.
And that shows up where?
As far as I know, it's sold. It's not out back. I'd have to
no
get
idea.
that information for you, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, but not out back. It's gone, I know that. In fact, wasn't that where the money was gonna come from to buy the wood this time around? I think it was. No, I think
Don't know.
about it.
I have to look at that one.
Can't answer that one.
Okay. I understand that we are having we may end up with a meeting on Friday. Can we have in the meeting, I think is for 9 o'clock, I imagine. Can you arrange that we can have a walking tour of our buildings, maintenance buildings over there? Ahead of that, for those that want to be there, say for 8:30?
8:30 Friday?
Yes,
Sure.
okay.
And what do you want to see, Mr. Chairman?
Our maintenance buildings,
Well, there's only one of those.
well, we got a maintenance building, and then we've got a barn that's next to it and so forth.
Those aren't maintenance buildings.
Well, farm building.
Storage
You want to see the
Storage.
farm buildings?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maintenance and farm buildings, they're all right over there, right?
You do that?
Okay.
You will take care of that?
Yep.
I don't think you need scones and coffee for that, but if we could just have a quick
Well,
walk through.
You know, at 8:30, we get them there at 8:30, you get there at 8:45, your usual way. Could be cold, they won't be quite as tasty.
This person's already seen our good-looking building, so whether I'm there or not.
Then what is your point in having the meeting?
Of seeing a tour of what we own?
Right.
Least-
Because you
least-
say that you're already familiar with it, so what is your point?
Education of the delegation.
The other delegation members, is that it?
Sure.
Okay.
Have
just
you,
wanna
have
be
you had a
clear.
tour?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you could be excused for 8:30.
Okay. And I also, I'm looking at the efficiency of our time.
Okay, well, perhaps yours would be better used elsewhere. Okay. Let me just look at the,
And so maybe we could make an effort to finish our delegation meeting today instead of carrying it over to Friday.
we have a lot of people to discuss that with.
We could do our part.
Oh, on income, or excuse me, on personnel for the farm. I believe I have a listing here of personnel. So we have the same number of people this year as we had last year,
Correct.
body count,
Yep.
but someone left and someone came.
Correct.
And I know Will and I know Wayne. I'm not sure the other two individuals. Is
Mark replaced Wayne too.
Oh, Wayne too, that's right, yeah, Wayne too.
So Mark is our new person?
Yep.
And Mark came over was he working at the jail previously?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And your policy for when did that person come in at the same rate as Wayne too?
No.
No.
Okay, is that something we can talk
Less.
about or can't talk about? Because I don't want to talk about if we can. He came in for less money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Problem was, Mr. Chairman, he'd had a couple of years at the jail. And so we did raise his rate to at least what he was making at the jail when he switched jobs.
Okay, but when he came over here, he was still getting less money than the
Wayne
person
too.
he replaced.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. And I don't know Joe. Joe is a,
Part-time.
okay,
Mainly he's on call.
okay. And if I remember right, he is, does he come in and do cutting of lawns and things like that?
Correct.
That, and you can imagine you have a snowstorm here and you have 2 or 3 crews and they're split up, you've gotta have a certified, I won't call him correction officer, but somebody certified in managing the inmates.
So he can work with the inmates, is that what you're telling me?
Yes,
Correct.
Okay. As I assume Wayne can.
yes.
Wayne's always
They all
got him
can.
out there. Yeah,
They're all trained to work or supervise inmates.
okay,
That's what I was looking for.
okay. Let's see if there's anything else. While I'm looking through that, Representative Ticehurst, is there anything else you have questions on?
No further questions?
Is it possible that this committee could recommend what the sewer and the water department, any
I thought
changes?
we'd already done one of them. I apologize, my phone's on.
I don't think any, well, none of them were done by the delegation.
Okay. I had made a recommendation earlier, but we'll go to there. Let me just look real quick. So you were looking under, your new vehicle is not shown in the farm, it's shown as a capital appropriation? Is that where it's showing up?
A second-hand vehicle, yes, sir.
Yes. It's in the capital, right? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, I'm fine with that. Water and sewer. Sewer system I'm showing on page 14. Maintenance, not there. Sewer you had is $46,103, and I believe I'd made a recommendation through the committee previously that we were going to accept that amount. Do you remember that being any different, Representative Ticehurst?
I don't have any recollection of that, so I would
Okay.
have to agree.
Okay, so we'll be making a recommendation on the sewer system at $46,103. Get that in here. And the water.
On the water, we gotta add 5,700, I believe, for taxes. I guess we have to have another line item,
Yes, for the town taxes.
right?
Give me 1 second, catch up. So, is that on the next page?
It's on page 5.
Are you moving a straight 5,000?
A what?
A straight 5,000 or an odd number?
It's 5,700,
Okay,
according to the taxes up there on the,
that's what I wanted
Chart.
to know, thank you.
So we're gonna increase 5,700, is that your number?
correct?
So our new number will be,
51,803?
No,
it's higher than that, David, I think. Because you had 52,828, is that the number you had?
It's,
So it
should be 58,528, I believe,
58,528?
correct?
excuse me, where does that figure come from? You just talked twice about the figure being 46,103 and we had to add on to it.
I think we were talking about sewer, David,
Oh.
previously, Commissioner.
Well, let's
No,
make
we're
sure we
talking
put it in the right place.
We're talking about water works.
That's what I have, and I have it at water.
I have sewer recommended at $46,103,
That's correct.
which was your number that you had previously.
Yep,
Now we're on to water, and we're gonna increase, or they're gonna have to put a line in there.
What's the water on the sheet? that we're-
52,828.
Oh, okay. Now we're putting 5,700 on top of that.
And that should be 58,528.
Yep,
Is that right, David?
yes,
58,528?
yes.
Correct.
So without objection, Representative Ticehurst, that'd be our recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that you see, Commissioners?
What about maintenance? Page 13.
Okay, so
I guess it's page 14.
on income or on?
Expense.
14 on expenses.
I don't think there was anything changed on that, was there?
I don't believe there was, and I thought that this one had already been recommended. We had, I think we were given a listing,
No, it wasn't, it hadn't been approved by a delegation.
okay, under new equipment, it was shovels and that sort of thing for the, do you have a listing of that in your packet? I believe
don't.
Will
You
had
mean as a
provided that
capital
earlier.
expense?
No,
No, under,
New equipment?
under new equipment.
Oh,
under
okay.
maintenance.
Well, the one sheet of paper we had here had shovels and something on it, I remember.
I don't know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
why in the taxes, you said it was 5,700, and yet the paper we got from the office says Town of Ossipee property tax commission budget .85, $7,000.
Well,
Is that, I thought we were moving that from the commissioners to the water, I thought that's what we were moving.
that's what we're moving, 5,700 to the water.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
So our number's still correct on
Yes,
water?
yes, it is.
Okay.
Sorry.
Could we, before the meeting, have someone just pull up what that listing was for new equipment?
Yep.
Because I remember it always kind of being in the $1,500 range, and we're up $500.
Is that for the truck? Is that what you're talking about?
No, new equipment.
Will had given us a list, I don't have it with me.
Oh, that's the shovels and hose and,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's usually about 1,000, that's just lumped as about 1,000 every
Yes.
year. So there's another 1,000, there's 500 more than before, so if you could just come up with that. So if we can find that, then, and there's a reason for what that extra $500 is, then I would move his full amount at, or your amount recommendation at 162,268. If we can't come up with that, I'd probably move $500 less. Representative Ticehurst, your
So can we
thoughts?
just go ahead and make the recommendation, and then if new information comes to us later on, we can say something from the delegation, at the delegation meeting to change that?
And your recommendation would be,
The 162,268.
we're not gonna come to agreement.
Okay.
I think the paperwork's out there. I'd just like to see the paperwork.
We can find it.
Yeah, we'll find it. Then we'll get there. So then, under income, on the income side of things, we're changing maintenance.
To read 46,000.
46,000 is income. You in agreement with that, Representative?
Yes.
Okay, so we're revising it from 0 to 46,000. Excuse me. And we're not in agreement on the, farm income, so we'll leave the farm income for discussion.
Why not? And
Uh,
in agreement on the 50,000?
Yes. That's income from 0. think we're there. So we got water and sewer, maintenance, you're gonna find that, you're gonna find that for me. And, you're not in agreement on the farm, so I think we've got everything done we're gonna do.
So the maintenance, we're finding the tools.
Yes.
$500.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think there was any other discussion on there. And the capital, your capital expenditure on the farm truck is to be talked about by the delegation. So, I don't think we're gonna come into an agreement on that as a recommendation on that. I'm recommending not to move that amount or not to buy that vehicle, and I would imagine Representative Teichers has an opposite opinion on that. Am I correct on that?
Not necessarily.
Well, do you want to discuss not purchasing a vehicle under capital
I
improvement?
think we'll do it at the delegation meeting.
Okay. So, hopefully you can find that out, and we will have the jail here, or over there, I guess, at the jail. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Just a technicality, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. The committee has 5 people, does it not?
Yes.
You don't have a quorum?
4, I think. What'd we end up with, Representative Ticehurst? I have it here as,
Just turned it down.
I have it right here. Bucco, Smith, Representative Ticehurst, myself, 4 people.
Oh, you
And
do
we're
have a quorum.
sitting with 2,
Okay.
so.
Is a quorum 2 people out of 4?
I don't know, we started the meeting by asking that.
You're asking
and we
that
said
question,
that
and
we
that
would-
which leads me to my question, do your recommendations come in a form of a motion, or do they come in a form of a suggestion because you don't have a quorum?
Recommendation.
Just a
I think it's a recommendation of the subcommittee and those, and I'll make mention that's present of the 2 members. So that's why I'm saying if we couldn't come up with us at least agreeing on something that there's no need to go for.
I'm gonna find that paperwork.